And now that we are done discussing the UFC 299 main event and co-main event, we hop into the rest of the card. It was stacked top to bottom. We know this, but who got the biggest victories and what is next for those winners? We start with the Bellator 19-fight veteran debuting in the UFC for the first time, putting on a memorable performance, and most importantly, getting a dub. At 36 years of age, Michael Venom Page finally made his way to the UFC octagon. Better late than never is the catchphrase, and he gets a unanimous decision victory over Kevin Holland. Honestly, he pitched a shutout. He made Kevin Holland look silly at times, made Kevin Holland look lost in the octagon. Kevin couldn't reach Venom Page, couldn't land big shots. When Kevin had his biggest moment of getting to Michael's back, he fought his way back up to the feet. Michael Page turned back the clock a little bit. I know he's been winning a lot. He's won 8 of his last 9 fights. But man, it was just a very, very good performance. Very clean, polished, technical, but enough action to keep you invested. I thought this was a great debut for Michael Venom Page. Everything happened except for a finish, and you can't just hope for everyone that comes into the UFC to have a 1-minute knockout like Michael Chandler did. So if you're going to debut, this is a great way to do it, and he does it against a big name in big mouth Kevin Holland. And being that he is 36, he's going to crack the top 15, probably around the number 12 or 13 spot come Tuesday morning. The UFC knows they don't have a ton of time, much like Michael Chandler. I know Chandler came in a little bit younger than Michael Page, but the point remains the same. Not here for a long time, here for a good time. Michael Page probably, if he has realistic hopes of reaching the title, and I'm not saying he can't. For all I know, he very much could. But if he does get there, it won't take some crazy 5 or 6 fight win streak. It probably would be more like 3 to 4. And the first win of that streak is already cemented. This win over Kevin Holland at UFC 299. And what should come next? I think it's a fight that myself and a whole lot of other people in the MMA community want to see. Number 8 ranked Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, the battle of karate specialists. They literally fight the exact same. Michael Venom Page's stance, excuse me, I had to get all the words out there, was almost identical to that of which Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Light on the feet, bouncing, hands down, very wide base with their legs. That is the fight to make. Whether it's a 5-round fight night main event or a featured bout on a UFC pay-per-view, which I lean more toward that would be the case, absolutely sign me up 10 days out of 10. That's a marvelous, high-level, technical striking showcase. We stay in the same division as the number 11 ranked Jack Della Maddalena has extended his win streak to 17 victories in a row. He knocks out the number 4 ranked former title challenger Gilbert Burns with 1 minute and 17 seconds left in the fight, in a fight that on the scorecards officially that got released, Gilbert Burns was on his way to winning. This was a dogfight throughout the 18, or I can't even get my math right, through the 12 minutes and change that we got to see it. Gilbert was able to land takedowns, also land successful strikes on the feet. Jack showcased his amazing boxing skills that we all knew that he had in the winning method, the winning combination sequence. I finally got to the word I wanted, was with a beautiful knee right up the middle as Gilbert went in for a takedown that led to the beginning of the end. Jack followed it up with ground and pound strikes en route to getting the stoppage in what was probably a few seconds late, but the stoppage did come, and this is a massive win for Jack Della Maddalena. He's going to go from number 11 into the top 5 of the deep welterweight waters. He debuted just over 2 years ago in January of 2022, and he's already 7-0 with now 2 top 15 ranked victories, maybe even 3. I can't remember if Randy Brown was ranked or not when they fought last February, but nevertheless, victories over Randy Brown, Kevin Holland, and now Gilbert Burns. And what does Jack go do? He calls out the man that nobody else will call out, Shavkat Rakhmonov, the undefeated phenom. So Jack did the matchmaking for me. I'm just going to sit back because sign me up. Sign me up. Conor McGregor, what did you say?
Sign me up.
You have to do this fight. No, here's the simple fact of the matter. One, Bilal Muhammad, please give the guy his title shot. Two, nobody wants to fight Shavkat Rakhmonov. And Jack Della Maddalena just gave the UFC every reason to book the next fight for both of them, but especially for Rakhmonov, who I'm sure they have a very hard time getting matches made for. Do I lean Rakhmonov in that fight? Of course, he's undefeated. The guy is a true phenom and a future champion. But Jack Della Maddalena has that dog in him, and if he can bring that type of fight to Shavkat, which we saw Jeff Neal bring that type of fight to and have success, it could make for an insane fight with the winner coming out for the next title shot after Bilal and Leon, assuming settle their business. Petr Yan has ended the losing streak, and he is back on top. Fight of the night. This should have been the fight of the night. Petr Yan, Song Yadong, highest level fight on the card, most entertaining fight on the card. If we're talking through and through from bell to bell, this was an incredible fight. This fight right here shows you why bantamweight is probably the best division going in mixed martial arts. The fact that so many people were writing Petr Yan off is incredible, but I understand it, right? He had lost 4 out of 5, 3 in a row. I know one of those losses was the illegal knee to Aljo, but if you look outside of those, he did lose convincingly in the rematch. He had a very close fight with the current champion, Sean O'Malley, and then lost to Merab Dvalishvili very convincingly. It seemed as if we had seen the ceiling of Petr Yan. Maybe he wouldn't quite get back with the gold around his waist. He couldn't beat the best of the best. And then what does he do? He turns back the clock after 1 year off. He comes back and beats the surging 26-year-old Song Yadong, who was coming in off of back-to-back main event victories over Chris Gutierrez and Ricky Simone. This was a y'all must have forgot performance from Petr Yan. It was incredible for him to cement himself back into the top 5 as a legitimate threat and title contender at any time. It was just such a phenomenal fight too. All credit to Song Yadong. At only 26 years old, the amount of experience against high-level competition that he has is second to none. I think Song, by the time he reaches his true prime, 28, 29, 30 years old, he could be right in the mix for the title, if not sooner, the way that he's progressing so quickly. And he's just a freak athlete. But the night belonged to Yan, who is back in the W column, and he seems to have his path set. He wants to fight Marlon Chito Vera next, and then beat him and fight for the title. And I think that is a good path to victory. Chito took a lot of damage, got banged up in that main event with Sean O'Malley, but they are technically on the same timeline. They had training camps and fought on the same night. Therefore, it is relatively easy to make that fight happen. Because you look at the rest of the division, Merab should probably get the next title fight. Corey Sandhagen is recovered from his injury and said that he's ready to go. But he did mention that he would welcome Umar Nurmagomedov to the top 5 if that is the fight that the UFC wants him to take. So then that kind of leaves, Marlon Vera or Henry Cejudo versus Petr Yan. Henry said he wasn't going to hang up the gloves after his loss to Merab. I think I'd rather see that fight. Either way, Petr Yan is so back. I think it's finally time for Curtis Blaydes to fight for a heavyweight championship. He has knocked out Jailton Almeida, who prior to this was 6-0 in the UFC and running through everyone in the heavyweight division. And I'll tell you what, it didn't come easy because in the first round, Curtis Blaydes got taken down 9 times. I literally put the question up on Twitter, is Jailton Almeida about to set the record for all-time takedowns in a UFC fight? And it took 36 seconds of the second round for Curtis Blaydes to say, no, Dominic, he absolutely will not get that record against me. One of the best wrestlers in heavyweight history and currently in the division, Blaydes, is back in the win column after his loss to Sergey Pavlovich. He's won 4 of his last 5 fights, and I think it's time. I think you have to put him in for the title. He has earned it, and we don't know what John and Stipe are doing. And if they're just going to keep playing games and holding out, I know John got injured and tore his pec. It's a serious injury. I do understand that, but they seem to only want to fight each other. That is the game that I'm alluding to. So while we wait for that to happen in 2029, do Curtis Blaydes and Tom Aspinall the rematch. It was from July of 2022. We got to see him fight for all of 15 seconds before Tom Aspinall blew his knee out and got injured in a fight that I'm sure was going to be electric for as long as it lasted. Run it back, the rematch, and absolutely do not make it an interim title defense. No, this fight needs to be for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. 25-year-old Maycee, the future Barber, has extended her win streak to 6. She defeated former title challenger and number 4 ranked Katlyn Cerminara, formerly known as Katlyn Chookagian, via unanimous decision in a fight that many expected to be close. It was relatively close. Katlyn Chookagian, now Cerminara, puts up close fights with everyone in this division. She is the ultimate title shot gatekeeper. If you beat her, you're probably next in line for gold or close to it. If you don't beat her, go to the back of the line. Maycee Barber did the job. She got the victory over the course of 15 minutes. And at 25 years old, she's now more than likely one victory away from the flyweight title shot. And I say one more victory because some news that dropped. Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko will be headlining as the Ultimate Fighter Season 32 coaches. The season starts in June, which leads me to believe we will get the trilogy fight for the title in September at Noche UFC in the Spear. And at the end of the month, we have UFC Atlantic City, where we will get the 2 surging prospects, Manon Fior and Aaron Blanchfield. Number 2 versus number 3 will be fighting to earn the number 1 contender spot. The winner of that absolutely should not fight anyone else unless it's for the title at that point. They both have earned it, and now they're just having to fight each other because of the trilogy that's going to happen with Valentina and Alexa. Now, what does that mean for Maycee Barber? She's going to have to fight one more time. That's just the simple fact of the matter. Who will it be? How I just said, Aaron and Manon shouldn't have to fight anyone else, the winner of that fight. Unfortunately, since we're probably going to have to wait till September for the championship fight, I could see Maycee facing the winner of Blanchfield versus Fior in what would become another number 1 contender fight. I think that's the way that it unfortunately could end up playing out, but I would like to see Maycee fight the surging stud that is Natalia Silva, who's now number 7, right behind her in the rankings, undefeated in the UFC, dangerous, violent, super well-rounded. I think that would be an incredible matchup. You can't go wrong with either. Just the purist in me that wants to see the division play out the proper way does not want to see the winner of Blanchfield and Manon have to then fight again and potentially put their title shot in danger. But that's just me maybe whining and complaining a little bit too much. The night belonged to Maycee Barber at the end of the day. 6-fight win streak, which I believe is the same win streak that Manon and Aaron are both on. Are they all just going to have... Maybe let's just do a triple threat match at the end of the month. I don't know. But Maycee Barber at 25 is one step closer to achieving her ultimate dream of becoming a UFC champion. You know what? Right as I segued out of that, I pulled myself right back in. She hinted at going to 135 throughout the week. Do we do it? Does that make the most sense for Maycee? As this division plays out, we get the title fight in September. We get the number 1 contender fight at the end of the month between Aaron and Manon. Does she go up and fight for the title or fight Juliana Pena, We have Kayla Harrison fighting next month. I would imagine if she beats Holly Holm, the UFC's throwing her right in for a title, which is why I think they're maybe waiting to officially confirm Juliana versus Raquel. Maybe they do Raquel versus Kayla if Kayla wins. Juliana Pena, Maycee Barber, 135 pounds. Book it. Mateusz Gamrot welcomed Rafael dos Anjos back down to the 155-pound division and put on a really solid performance en route to another decision victory. That's 3 wins in a row. Jalen Turner, Rafael Fiziev, asterisk on that one. Fiziev hurt his knee. It was going to be an incredibly high-level fight. Unfortunate that we had to see it in that way. And then now against Rafael dos Anjos, the biggest win of his career against a former champ. He's 33 years old. He's 24-2. What do we do with Mateusz Gamrot? He called out Islam Makhachev. It's a great call out, but the fact of the matter is it's not going to happen. He will not get a title shot. He's going to have to at least win one more fight. I would personally love to see it get ran back with him and Fiziev, but that was in September, so not terribly long ago. I think Fiziev tore his ACL, MCL, all of the L's in your knee. He probably won't be ready to come back for a little while still. But if the timelines line up, I would love to see that fight get ran back for a true second go. Let me know what you guys think. I think it's kind of a weird spot. Gamrot's a very, very good fighter. You know what he's going to do, and it still doesn't matter. He's going to implement that game plan. I think he had 11 takedowns against RDA last night. It's a tough one. I don't know what you do with Gamrot. Personally, I would pick the Fiziev rematch if it gets healthy on the right timeline. Otherwise, I don't know. Kyler Phillips is back into the top 15 at bantamweight. He put on a great performance. This is going to be probably the performance that gets forgotten or slept on from UFC 299, but I'm here to tell you, go watch this fight. Kyler Phillips looked sharp as ever in his victory over Pedro Munhoz, which makes his win streak 3. Marcelo Rojo, Raoni Barcelos, and now Pedro Munhoz. And don't forget, he also has a victory over Song Yadong. Very close fight, but a win is a win regardless. 28 years old, right in his prime years, 12-2. Kyler Phillips into the rankings. Let's take a quick look here because what a performance that he put on. Who's in that back half? We've got Mario Bautista. Ooh, that's a good fight. Dominic Cruz, Jonathan Martinez, Umar Nurmagomedov, Rob Font. Those are all great names to potentially have as next fights for Kyler Phillips. Oh, man, you can't go wrong with any of them. Pick your poison on that one because those are all great matchups. I'm just here to tell you, Kyler Phillips, if there's a fight to not forget that will get forgotten, it was this one. Hats off to him. Great performance against a tough, ultra durable, seasoned veteran that's fought everyone, Pedro Munhoz. And then quickly we'll hit on the rest of the card. Because a card this stacked, you got to give everybody love. Phillipe Lins extends his win streak to 4 with a decision over Ion Cutelaba. Probably going to get a ranked opponent next, and rightfully so. At the end of the day, that's a former PFL champion. Michel Pereira has silently put together a 7-fight win streak. Get this, man. Someone in the top 15 at 185 pounds. Quick glance. Caio Borralho, Chris Curtis, Anthony Hernandez, Paul Craig. Any of those 4 is a great next matchup for Michel Pereira. The wild man put on a freaking dance routine on his way to the octagon, and this time he doesn't get gassed out anymore. Maybe he has the most elite gas tank in the UFC. Nonetheless, incredible win streak, incredible finish here against Michel Oleksiejczuk. He battered him with body kicks, finished it with a sub. All happened in less than a minute. It was 1 minute and 1 second. Close enough. Amazing performance. Even better win streak. The 6'7" Taekwondo bronze medalist from Cuba, Robles Despain, knocked out Josh Parisian in 18 seconds. This is the favorite soundbite from UFC 299. Johnny Anik says, at 4 minutes and 54 seconds, so 6 seconds into the fight starting, he says, oh, this fight has already lasted longer than the last 2 fights of Despain's kind of run that he's on. At 6 seconds, he said that. Unbelievable the things that this guy can do. He's wacky, he's long, and he is powerful. He's dangerous for anyone in the heavyweight division. regardless of how clean he may be. All it takes is one shot. 30-year-old at flyweight Asu Almabayev has won 15 fights in a row, and he's now 2-0 in the UFC with prominent wins, a submission over Ode Osborne, and a dominant decision at UFC 299 against CJ Vergara. He's 19-2. He's got finishes. He can go the full 15. He had a ton of takedowns in this fight, and the way that he was doing them, ooh, they were beautiful the way that he was setting up these takedowns. It was so slick. This guy could be a problem. Top 15, absolutely next for Asu, even though he's 2 fights in to his UFC career. Oh, it'd be so great to see him take on a guy like Tatsuro Taira. But I feel like maybe he runs it with like Tagir Ulanbekov or a David Dvorak next. Top 15, Asu Almabayev. Remember that name. It won't take long for him to surge up these rankings based on that performance. And starting the night off was Joanne Wood in her retirement fight. These 2 posters behind me, I got to see her fight 2 times in person. Unfortunately, she lost both of those, but the story that I have with her at UFC 203 in Cleveland is one for the books. You'll have to dig it up on this podcast. I think Noah and I had a UFC 203 revisited episode at some point. Go listen to that if you can find it, where we talk about that story. But Joanne Wood calls it a career at 38 years old, but she finishes with 2 victories in a row. And this fight was a dog fight between her and Marina Moroz. And it came down to the 3rd round. It was 1-1. And JoJo landed a spinning back fist that nearly slept Moroz. And she capitalized on it, landed big shots throughout the remainder of the 3rd round. Hats off to JoJo Calderwood, now Joanne Wood from Scotland. Great career. She finishes with a winning record in the UFC. Enjoy retirement, JoJo. So give me all your thoughts on UFC 299, one of the most stacked cards of all time, the second most stacked card of 2024. Crazy that it's the second most stacked card, but UFC 300 is just a little over 1 month away, and it's going to be wild. It's like the road to WrestleMania for the WWE. We're in the road to UFC 300. We're a month out. We got a plethora of fight nights coming up in between, and all the action will be right here on this channel. So again, in the comments, give me all your thoughts and what you think is next for the big winners at UFC 299. Like this video if you enjoyed my recap. I do it every single week for the most meaningful MMA results. Subscribe to the channel if you are new so you never miss more videos such as these, my breakdowns going into every event, and my thoughts and opinions on the biggest breaking news and fight announcements in mixed martial arts. Follow the show on social media at the BAJ MMA, and follow on your favorite audio platforms such as Spotify and Apple as well. Have a great week, and I'll catch you in the next video.